Does DeShaun Watson want a trade out of Houston? And could the Chicago Bears be a possibility? Let's talk about it. What is going on, y'all? Faiz Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NFL here to talk about this news, this rumor. Let's talk about it. Before I do, if you're new to the channel, make sure to go ahead and subscribe because, like I said, I do talk a lot of NFL, talk a lot of Bears. Make sure you're following me on all my social media platforms, my Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff down below as always. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, so where is this even coming from? Well, I'm glad you asked because essentially what happened was today I wake up and I go on Twitter and Twitter is just blowing up. All right, it's going nuts, and I'm like, what is going on? And then I see the trending news and DeShaun Watson is trending. And I'm like, why is DeShaun Watson trending? So obviously I go and click on it and I see essentially that DeShaun Watson might want out of Houston. Now, this was a tweet. I believe the speculation started from Pro Football Talk, which is a pretty legitimate news source, saying that there is growing buzz in league circles that the Houston Texans might in fact trade DeShaun Watson if he wants out. Now, why would DeShaun Watson want out, right? Why would he want out? Well, because the Texans aren't very good, all right? And two major things that are handicapping the Texans right now. One, they don't have any draft capital for the near future to help and build around DeShaun Watson. And two, they don't have any cap space to help build the team around DeShaun Watson, okay? And I said there was only two things, but there's a third thing. The Texans just hired a new general manager. And you might be thinking that's a good thing, right, Faiz? Because you need a general manager. Well, not quite, because they hired a former Patriots executive, okay? And why is that a bad thing? Well, the last Patriots hire, somebody from the Patriots tree that the Texans hired was, oh yes, Bill O'Brien, the former head coach / GM of the Texans. And obviously we all know that was a failed experiment with B.O.B. And so when the hiring of the new Patriots exec happened and him being the Texans GM, I believe his name is Nick Caesarea, DeShaun Watson tweeted out a cryptic tweet saying some things never change. And again, he could be talking about a million things, but people are speculating that he is in fact talking about this move from the Texans. So DeShaun Watson, basically, if we were to assume by the tweet, is fed up and might want out of Houston. And I wouldn't blame him because DeShaun Watson is a top 5 and definitely a top 10 quarterback, if you don't want to argue top 5 in this league. And the Texans have not done a good job of building around him at all. All right, so there's essentially 3 questions here, right, that I'm going to address for you guys. Does DeShaun Watson actually want out? Okay. Number 2, will the Texans actually trade him if he wants out? And 3, which teams, including the Bears, would be able to trade for DeShaun Watson if, in fact, that he is on the trading block? All right, so question number 1, does DeShaun Watson even want a trade? I believe in his heart DeShaun Watson does. Now, he just signed a massive deal with the Texans to remain with them, and I believe the deal has a no-trade clause in it, but obviously he can waive that if he wants to get traded. But if you ask me right now, obviously I don't have sources that are confirming this for me. I don't know DeShaun Watson personally, but if you ask me, from the outside looking in, it does feel like DeShaun Watson is not happy with the Texans. This just feels like, Matt Stafford 5-10 years ago, right? Where you just know you went to a bad organization and your career could get wasted. And Matt Stafford's had a great individual career, but winning football hasn't done anything on that level for Matt Stafford. So if we take that into account, yes, I believe DeShaun Watson wants out because he sees that the organization around him is just not going to lead him to win anything significant. I mean, take a look at J.J. Watt. He's got a future Hall of Famer on his own team, and J.J. Watt's career has been a waste. He hasn't won anything, right, because of the fact that he is on the Houston Texans. So the first question, does DeShaun Watson want out? I believe he does. All right. Question number 2, will the Texans actually trade DeShaun Watson? I don't believe so. All right, and I thought long and hard about this. Now, again, if things get really ugly and DeShaun Watson forces their hand and says, I want out, get me out of here, trade me, fine, yeah, I could see it. But if you ask me, like, if that doesn't happen and DeShaun Watson's just nonchalant about it, he's like, yeah, I want out, but, if you don't trade me, it is what it is, then I don't believe the Texans are trading him, because here's the thing. It is so difficult to fill the quarterback position, the most important position in sports. Everybody knows that. And if you have a top 5, top 10 guy at that position, I mean, you are just dumb to trade that away. You instead build around him. Now, again, like I mentioned, they don't have cap space, they don't have draft capital, so you have to get creative. But again, nobody said it'd be easy. They just said you would have to do it and it would be worth it. And so for the Houston Texans, it is going to be much harder to find the next DeShaun Watson than it is to find the next, great receiver, tackle, edge rusher, running back, etc. We're talking about quarterback here, folks. Like, when you have that position filled, I mean, you just sleep well at night. Now, I say all that, and I just told you about Matt Stafford, and the Lions haven't won anything. This is not guaranteeing success, but I am saying that trading away a guy who's top 5, I believe, at his position is just not good business. Now, if they did trade him, okay, what would be the cost here? What would be the cost? And think about it for yourself. I'm going to tell you the answer right here, because I asked this question to a couple of my friends. I asked it, online to a couple of people as well. And I'm like, listen, picture the scenario, right? Your team and the Texans call you and they say, listen, we are willing to give you DeShaun Watson, but you have one shot to give us a trade, all right, offer. And if we don't like that trade offer, then we're done and you have no more chances. Like, we can't renegotiate here. So what would your offer be at that point? And think about it, all right? Because people keep saying, like, oh, probably like 2 firsts, 2 seconds, maybe like 2 firsts and 1 second, 1 first round pick, a second round pick, a fourth round pick. Like, is it that and then a player? Like, no, folks, here's the thing, all right? I'm going to make it very simple for you guys. Here is what I believe, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but this is what I believe the starting offer would be for DeShaun Watson. And this, I believe, is true because I've seen legitimate news reporters, NFL reporters tweet this out. The starting trade offer for DeShaun Watson is 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, and a player. And we might start the conversation there. Yeah, that's it right there. You might be laughing. You might be, Faiz, are you crazy? Yeah, 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, and a player. We're talking about a guy who's a top 5 quarterback entering his prime or just starting his prime. I mean, that's what it is. It's all about supply and demand. So, yeah, you might think it's a lot, but that's what it is. So, even if the Texans decide to trade DeShaun Watson, that is the price for DeShaun. Think about that, all right? So, again, this is not B.O.B. Bill O'Brien here where you're going to get DeAndre Hopkins for, a pack of Cheetos and a lint and pocket lint, all right? So, it's going to be hard, all right? He traded him, DeAndre Hopkins, for a paper clip. Like, again, I'm not saying this new GM is anything great, but he's definitely not going to be B.O.B., or at least I hope not. So, when we talk about now teams, my third question, which teams out there would be able to do that? And we talk about the Bears here. Well, in terms of the Bears, we do have our draft picks. We do have some of them. We do have, the requisite capital here. But that's a lot to give up for DeShaun Watson. I want DeShaun Watson. I mean, this is our chance to right the wrong here, right? DeShaun Watson was originally the guy the Bears should have drafted. Everybody wants to talk about Patrick Mahomes. I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. Nobody saw that coming from Patrick Mahomes. DeShaun Watson was the legitimate choice next to Mitchell Trubisky at that time. Don't believe me? Go look up mock drafts at that time. So the Bears would have a chance to right the wrong, and DeShaun Watson on this Bears team is a Super Bowl contender, no doubt about it. Like, it's not even close. But for the Bears, would it make sense to do this? And if this is the... First of all, I don't think the Texans are trading him. So, again, if you're asking Faiz, should the Bears do this? They're not going to be able to because the Texans won't trade him. If they do, and this is the trade offer, do you do it? Do you mortgage your future for DeShaun Watson? I think I personally would, just because, like I said, it's so hard to find a quarterback, but that is a steep price for DeShaun Watson. That, even for DeShaun Watson, that's a steep price to pay for anybody, right? So, to me, he's not Aaron Rodgers, he's not Patrick Mahomes, but he is still a top 5 quarterback, but that is what you would have to give up. All right, that's what you have to give up. So these other teams that all are looking for quarterbacks, the 49ers, the Jets, the Jaguars. Well, Jaguars will get Trevor Lawrence. But these other teams, that's what they would have to give up. So it's not just the Bears are going to be in the mix. It'd be other teams as well. Now, I will say this. If he is in fact on the trading block and the Texans are willing to trade him, the Bears should absolutely call the Texans. They would be stupid not to. If they don't call, whoever's the GM, if it's Ryan Pace or somebody else, should get fired for not making that phone call, because that's just good business, and find out what they're looking for. All right, find out what they're looking for. But I ask you this. If that is the trade offer, if you have to give up 3 firsts, 3 seconds, and a player for DeShaun Watson, maybe more, would you guys be willing to do that? Let me know down in the comments below. But I'm just letting you know that is what it would cost. I'm all for it. I want DeShaun Watson. But again, it's a good business to just mortgage, your entire future for the next, 3, 4, 5 years. Some might say yes, some might say no, but that's essentially what it would cost you. Ultimately, my point is, I don't believe the Texans are trading him. I just don't see it happening because of the value of DeShaun Watson, but I do believe he wants out. So that's where I'm at. Love to see him on the Bears. We know what would happen, but let's see how it plays out. So let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below if you're interested. As always, thanks for watching.